Good evening. I'm Terrence Williams Jr., and I'm a performing arts junior from Gainesville, Florida. For so many of my generation, Kenan Thompson defines comedy and entertainment. From his years on Nickelodeon with All That and Keenan and Kel to giving the world the knuckle puck in D2 The Mighty Ducks, he gifted our adolescents with unending joy. Then he brought his signature presence and wit to late night on Saturday Night Live, and today, longest serving cast member in its history. This very month, the next chapter of Thompson's television legacy unfolds with the aptly named family sitcom Kenan, a comedy set right here in Thompson's home state of Georgia. Thompson reminds us that comedy is a powerful force for good, that sketch entertainment can say as much as a five-act play, and that laughter is a universal language. Let's take a look.
Hey, everybody! All right, thank you. Welcome to Family Feud. Do you like basketball and football, but they too fun and fast? Try baseball. You hit a ball with a stick, and then you run a little bit with baseball. Big Poppy.
Let's go to Bro for 200.
It's bruh. Yeah, I like that.
Is it A, origami, B, Brazil?
You're like if Dave and Buster's was a person. Good morning, Atlanta.
Ladies and gentlemen, Virtuoso Award honoree Kenan Thompson. Congratulations.
There it is.
Yeah.
So y'all can see
There it
it. Can you see it? It just says my name. There it is. Thank you very much. I just want to speak through the glass just for the rest of this interview today. Thank you very much. No, I'm floored that you guys would give me such a beautiful award, Virtuoso Award. Well, thank you very much to the SCAD aTVFest and Miss Paula Wallace. I really appreciate this gesture. This is really, really nice. Shout out to all the SCAD students. Keep working hard, staying focused on your dreams. And yeah, this is really touching. I'm glad I could be joined by my illustrious castmates. I'll go from the top left of your screens, I guess, if everybody's looking at the same thing. That's actually Jared Hall. It's Jared or Gerard? It is Jared. Jared's from Entertainment Weekly, but right below him is the great Don Johnson. Look at that guy. Come on. Don Johnson, and below him is Chris Red, my buddy. And then up into the other column, we have the great Taylor Louderman. And below her is the wonderful Kimry Lewis, rounding out the adults in this here interview. So
I resent that remark.
Exactly. I like to have fun, as you can see. So, I really appreciate you guys giving me this award, and I'm going to find a place to put it. Maybe I'll just keep it right here.
Yeah, buddy.
Close to heart.
Close at heart.
Seriously, thank you so much. What shall we talk about? Shall we talk about stuff? Are we here?
Yeah, we can do that. How about we get into it, shall we? As Kenan mentioned, I am Jared Hall, Senior TV Editor at Entertainment Weekly. And today the festival welcomes, as we've all seen, the new NBC series Kenan. He's already done the introductions, but I'll do them for you one more time. Don Johnson, Chris Red. We'll also have Danny Lane and Dana Lane, Kimry Lewis, Taylor Louderman, and of course, another round of applause for this year's Virtuoso Award recipient, Kenan Thompson.
Thank you very much.
Hello to all of you, and congratulations again, Kenan. That is very well deserved. So let's get right into it, shall we? This show got picked up, if my research and memory are correct, in May 2019. It's now winter 2021. A lot, of course, has happened, but is there like a sense of relief that finally it's hitting the air? Were you ever worried, like, oh no, NBC might like change their mind with all the stuff going on in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always the danger of creating anything in this business. It's always up in the air until it's actually on TV for people to see it and receive it. So we're just really excited that it's all happening, February 16th. And I just, I couldn't be more joyous that it's all come to this point as far as the development is concerned. It's in a good place, and I think we have a wonderful cast, and I'm just beyond excited about it.
Well, let's talk about this cast, specifically more so, I guess, the cast of characters. What was the goal? What was top of mind as you were kind of creating each of these people to, kind of fill out this dynamic in Kenan?
I mean, basically, we were trying to figure out a family dynamic that we haven't really seen before. I mean, that's probably why we're dealing with, the widow discussion and things like that. But also, we definitely wanted to have a professional kind of environment as well for me to work in. And we kind of wanted that energy to match with the energy people are expecting to see from my SNL days and things like that. So we're just trying to bring all of those worlds together. In the beginning, it was a little different. I was like a real estate person or whatever, and that was just a little too far, you know what I'm saying? So we brought it to a world, and I mean, I'm actually excited that we landed on a world where like it's in Atlanta, and I'm on a morning show and stuff like that. So hopefully there will be some good character portrayals or things like that, good zany bits and stuff. But also we wanted that kind of same fun and silliness to happen in the home. So we needed a kind of, a dynamic where people are pretending to help but not really helping, and that's where Don and Chris come in, basically. And my brother and my father, it's like, how many different sort of dynamics can we put into one situation where everybody is kind of at each other's throats a little bit, but they all love each other at the same time?
Yeah, we definitely get that. Don, on that note, I want to ask you, because you're no stranger to comedy. You've been in some great comedies over the years. A lot of people, though, associate you with dramas. So in this case here, the different characters on the show describe you as wise, but also eccentric. So I'm wondering, how do you describe him, and what got you excited most about Rick?
Well, let's see. I'll take the first question first. How do I describe him? I describe Rick as eccentric, clueless, and sometimes wildly inappropriate. And the second part of that question is, I mean, look at this cast. I get a chance to work with. First of all, I'm fans of everyone, and that makes it easy and fun. And then, listen, I'm lucky to be doing this stuff with such a great cast and with such a great company, with Lorne Michaels and with the great writers that we've got, Jackie Clark and David Caspi, and it's a wonderful thing when you can do something you love your whole life. You never work.
Yeah, very well said. Chris, let's talk about Gary, who is Kenan's live-in brother, but also his manager. Is it a fair assessment that he's going to be the one who comes through on like some of the hijinks, some of the absurdity? Tell us about him.
Yeah, Gary is he's loyal to his brother to the core. It's like family before everything. So that's at the core of Gary, but he's definitely has the wrong approach to a lot of that. So he's always going to be the first one to jump on the train to make his life better, but at the same time go about it the absolute wrong way. It's sort of like half of them hasn't evolved while the other half has. They're just constantly battling each other, and he's just really trying to kind of prove himself, but in a certain way. He's also just has fun being him. He's very sure of himself, no matter if he's sure of what he's talking about or not. Kind of like I am with that last quote. He's a fun man, just a fun guy with a lot of white t-shirts and little chains.
That works. Kimry and Taylor, you're playing Kenan's producer and co-host. Kimry is as Mika. She's very much a straight shooter, but from what I've seen, I get the sense she definitely will challenge Kenan and everyone else around her when they're being ridiculous. And Tammy, I kind of interpret as one of those people who's a little ridiculous, especially with some of the things that she says. So what are you guys enjoying about this workplace dynamic at Wake Up with Kenan, and how do these characters contribute to that?
Well, I love that, Mika's, she's so sophisticated and so career driven, and so, there for Kenan and making sure that, he's successful because it contributes to her success. But she's like a lot of my friends, she just put everything into her personal life. into her work life. So her personal life is just trash.
Yeah, and I think that Tammy is, she tries way too hard. It's obnoxious, and it makes for some really fun moments with Kenan when we are supposed to be professionals, and sometimes we fail at that. It's a blast.
Yeah, well, like just even the lines like that was a slam dink. Like I love that kind of stuff, and I can't wait to see more of where she goes here. And we also spoke with Danny and Dana, their characters. I'm curious about like I was telling them, they seem a little more adult in ways than some of the adults. So tell me about developing that and deciding like what kind of kids they would be in this kind of show and setting.
I mean, we always thought that they were going to be cute, little, sweet little girls, but they have managed to just grow up so fast right in front of us. I mean, even in this last 5 weeks that we've been shooting these episodes, they've matured drastically. Kids they grow up so fast. When we first started a couple of years ago, they were little baby faces, you know what I mean? And now they're like growing into their, almost like late years, but we have to like adjust that in the script, and it's been a fun thing to kind of explore how they're, blossoming and how their characters are like blossoming as well, because, they're still kids and stuff like that, but they're really smart. And as you know, kids these days are probably aware of a lot more stuff than any of us were, at their age and stuff like that. So I don't know. They're still the cutest little girls I've ever seen, and I just love the fact that they're real sisters and they get to work together and support each other. It's just awesome.
All right, so these characters, Aubrey and Birdie, they kind of seem to me like they seem very wise beyond their years, which is going to make for some great comedy when we're seeing the kids kind of schooling the adults on how things work. So what are you loving so far about this experience and working with all these great folks around you here on the show?
Well, it's an honor to work with every single and each person on the set. And I really enjoy being here. And I think that my character as Birdie, I think that she's like funny, she's quirky, she's great, and she's amazing. My experience on the show has been pretty good, working with everybody because they're all professionals. It's just been really fun. I take something from all of them and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that and then I'm going to do that. I have to learn just kind of like based off of what other people do, what works for them, maybe that'll work for me.
Makes complete sense. You got a lot of great teachers right there around you. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't showed them the bad behavior yet.
Yeah.
To come. Yeah.
Bad behavior always $65.
All right, Danny and Dana, I know you have to go. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll check you out on the comedy. All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye. All right, bye. Dealing with death and grief is not really something we see all that often, of course, in the context of a comedy. So for Kenan, you, and also Chris and Dom, because you are both your characters in the house, tell me about how we'll continue to kind of see that dealt with as the season progresses.
I mean, it's an ongoing thing. It definitely is something I think we touch on for sure every episode so far. We're trying to ease off of it as far as it being too emotional, like, because at the end of the day, it is a sitcom. So, that was one thing that we wanted to do to make it stand a different show than anything I've ever seen, but we don't want to like just dwell in sorrow, basically. So it's actually interesting to explore kind of in a comedic way how men deal with grief, or, how some men like to put, emotions to the side completely and just never, deal with anything sad and stuff like that. And that's kind of like Don's character is going through, and Chris's character is just more supportive, but, Kimry's character is also involved in it because she knew my wife and stuff like that, and they were friends, and, we're kind of all going through it together. And then, Taylor just wants to take my job, but has some sympathy, you know what I mean? So everybody's really kind of the village coming together to kind of lift me up. And my whole focus is on the girls, of course, but I can't do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Well,
it's real interesting to play with the dynamics of vulnerability too, with our characters, and trying to push Kenan forward and dealing with grief and vulnerableness and feeling weak and having to open up to somebody is pretty cool to play with too.
And the live element, it's like, what could go wrong on live television, right?
Right.
And we see it does very quickly. it goes wrong very quickly. Yeah, but that gives you something to grow from too. So I did even love how that was incorporated there. So yeah, you mentioned originally this was kind of set in the world of real estate. Were these all kind of similar characters that were involved there, or were they created new once you kind of moved to this setup where he's a morning show host and we have Wake Up with Kenan?
Yeah, these are all pretty much new characters except for the father-in-law character. That was always a kind of a thorn in the side idea for the overall concept, basically. Yeah.
And it hasn't changed.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. Don slid right into those comfortable shoes.
Thorn in the side.
But yeah, that was, the new characters that you see on your screen now are adjustments for sure.
Gotcha. Are all of you or any of you at all morning people? I know, of course, you don't really have to be for the sake of the show, but obviously you're very used to a late night world, and this is very opposite of that. So, are you guys morning people?
By morning you mean noon, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not at all, man.
I spent my whole life being around. I'd get up around Kimry's hour around 11 or 12, and I don't know why, but just before I started doing this show, I don't know, I just made maybe it's because of COVID or something like that. I was kind of trying to keep myself focused and do good things for myself. So I said, yeah, I'll just flip the schedule. So I started getting up early, and I can't say that I love it, but it's an interesting experience.
I have to get up a couple hours before I have to get up so that I can be in person by the time I see people. Otherwise, I'm a monster.
Makes sense. Being awake and waking up are two different things, is what you're saying.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Yep. Makes complete sense. Taylor, is this kind of like morning show world? Like, is it something that you like felt familiar with? Are you kind of like that joyful, chipper person that kind of fits the mold here?
When I was little, I always said if I wasn't going to go into musical theater was my path before doing this show, and it was going to be a news anchor. So I've always had fun playing with that, and have a girlfriend who is a local news anchor back home. So it's a world I admire and enjoy. So I'm happy. I'm grateful to be in this part.
Nice. See, sometimes things just work out the way they're supposed to, I guess.
Yeah.
Still get to do it in your own little way. Kimry, as producer, do you are there parts of Kimry in Mika at all? Like, are you that kind of like rally the troops, keep the train moving?
Yeah, I think I can be. I can rally. I'm a rallier. But I also grew up in a newsroom. Like, my mom was a news producer. She was a morning show news producer. And so in a lot of ways, I'm just kind of, channeling what I saw and embodying aspects of what I watched when she was here, and, how she owned the newsroom.
Yeah. That's kind of wild. It feels like you guys are all like meant to be part of this show. Does it feel like that to you?
Until this moment, that's new information. I mean, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that is so cool. Kenan and Chris, I mean, definitely Kenan, after years of doing sketch comedy, and Chris, for you, stand up, what has been the hardest part of adjusting to this kind of like single cam scripted format? Are they very much different comedy muscles?
They're not necessarily different comedy muscles. It's the memorization of it all. That's like a different muscle. It's like learning how to memorize and like walk and talk and chew gum at the same time, and rub the top of your head and pat your belly type, you know what I mean, while you're juggling and riding a unicycle and also saying words. So it's like figuring out how to balance like all of those like, kind of old muscles every single morning, all day long, you know what I mean? Like at SNL, we have time to rehearse and chill and wait just on Saturday or whatever, basically. But here is like Monday morning, it's time to be as good as it's going to be because this night.
it's that and the laughs are different. Like in live, the laughs are either there and you hear them or they're not. In SoCam, it's like you can hear crewmen chuckle, and they also got to be quiet. So it's like and you can feel that. You're like, all right, I got it, and that's the same as. And so those are the differences a little bit too. Or you get the laughs after the RTL's cut, and that's a huge difference too. But yeah, everything else can see it pretty much match up.
Of course, I mean, doing stand up, you're memorizing a set. Is that a problem for you here in those regards?
It's a problem with in like stand up. Sometimes I just be going off on 10 and it don't work. But it is like two sets of your mind. Like at SNL, if you memorize, it can kind of like work against you because things are constantly changing. Whereas here, you have to memorize a lot. I do like it because of the fact that I used to memorize a lot of raps, used to memorize a lot of my stand-up comedy. So it just took a little minute to be like, oh, I gotta look at these lines tonight, so I know them tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll just come in and hold everybody up for an hour. So,
right.
So it is a good thing to like have that, and that was like a quick adjustment, but I like them both.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about there are actually two shows within the show. We've got the morning show, but then we've also got the sitcom that Kenan, the character, used to be on, in which he met his late wife, Corey. Okay, so let's talk about Grown Ass Little Boy, because what we've seen so far of that is hysterical. And one, I'm wondering, are we going to continue to see clips from that show?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to, be able to see my deceased wife, and have her be a living element in the show and not just always just be in pictures or, in referenced in dialogue and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a good, a farming place for jokes, just because it is kind of disturbing the way that, the whole dynamic of the relationship. So it's fun to kind of play on that taboo a little bit.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. It's a bit ridiculous for sure. Tell us about the roots of that and figuring out like what was the right or the best thing to do here.
I mean, I don't even know if we know what the right or best thing is to do. Is what is making us laugh, and it doesn't seem that disturbing because, I was of age and she was of age, and we were only 2 years apart. I have a similar experience with being baby-faced and playing, older or playing younger when I'm a lot older and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it's coming from an innocent enough place just to give it a little, late night primetime nudge. When we're competing against shows like BoJack Horseman, you got to come with it.
That is very true. And kind of along those same regards, I love how you guys even worked in This Is Us into this first episode with Rick being like so into it and kind of like taking bets on it and stuff. Will that be like an ongoing joke? And do the people at This Is Us know about this?
I don't know if they know, but it should be an ongoing thing. Don, you up for it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll let you know if they give us clearance on using their footage.
Now I did pitch a Kenan show and This Is Us crossover episode, so we'll see what happens. Where it's just cry off like a dance battle, but we cry.
Yeah, you wrote it up, you typed it out, right? It's like 100.
Yeah, I typed it out. I sent it over. Nobody's answering emails, but I sent it. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My email was shut down over the weekend. Sorry about that.
That's crazy.
It could happen, I guess, because Justin Hartley's character is an actor, so he could come on Wake Up with Kenan to promote the movie he's doing.
That's exactly how he started it out.
See? Yeah.
See, Jared's got to
my email, bro. I got you, dog.
All right. Yeah. So you can easily go that route here. Don, are you like? Did you have other shows that you were really into? Like, oh, I want to talk about this, or you're all in on this This Is Us show?
Gambling.
Yeah, it's more about the gambling, right? It doesn't matter.
Rick is a degenerate gambler.
Yeah,
it could be anything. He could bet on whether anyone in the room cries at an AT&T commercial. I mean, he's just he's got that thing. He probably couldn't tell you the plot of This Is Us in any fact, except for what he's bet on.
Right. Yeah. In these regards, it probably doesn't make sense. We are here with SCAD and all of these great art design students, acting and filmmaking. I'm wondering if any of you, your own experiences with, drama programs, acting programs, filmmaking programs that you were part of that, that you can kind of tell them, like, make sure these are the things you're learning now and taking advantage of now.
I think for me, I went to college for theater and then studied abroad theater. No big deal. It was overseas, guys. I think the most important thing for me was recognizing that, like, that was my network, right? So you're in school now, like, use the folks around you. Don't wait until you get to like a certain level. Like, your network right now, the people who you're going to school with and taking classes with are going to be so valuable as you continue to come up. So yeah, establish that network and use them.
And I would just add to that and say that, I studied with the American Conservatory Theater after I studied at the University of Kansas, and it was an intense program of 8 hours of study during the day. Dance and mime and voice and iambic pentameter and so on and so forth. And I did that for a year, and of course I was so excited to get to use this stuff, and I was always excited about getting out and getting the next job and going on to the next thing. And the old timers in the theater around this in San Francisco, they would come up to me and put their arms around me and say, "Slow down, man. This is the best part. The learning is the best part." And I will tell you that that's accurate.
That's great. Anyone else? All right. Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Well, I really wish I would have listened to my heart a little bit more when I was in school. I studied musical theater, but I really wanted to take like a directing class and stuff like that. And I didn't, because that wasn't what everybody else was doing. And I look back and I really wish I had cross-trained a bit more, if you will. So I think not steering clear of that well-rounded perspective is always good.
And I would just say, I agree with everybody else. And I was like, stay sharpening your sword, no matter how far you think you're getting or how good you think you are. Constantly sharpening that sword, and don't listen to everybody's advice, because it always don't apply to you. Take the pieces that apply to you, and then you continue to grow. Because I got my community college teacher in improv failed me in improv, and I do it for a living. And then I got good at improv and in the community and realized no one knew her. So the point is, sometimes people be wrong, dog, and have a lot of patience with yourself, because it's a long game.
Yeah.
And don't sign up for those credit cards. They'll jack up.
Don't sign up for no credit cards. No credit cards.
That is so true. That free T-shirt is not worth it.
Really is. You can't even go nowhere with it. You can't even go nowhere right now. So
right. Indeed. Kenan, tell me why it was so important for this show to be set in your home state and in Atlanta.
I mean, that was a writer's choice. I thought it was very flattering that they wanted to really write around, me, myself, the person, and kind of make, a lot of things click, I think, immediately with the audience, so they don't have to do too much thinking of like, okay, now we're going on a journey with this brand new character, but it's a guy I recognize from a whole lot of different things or whatever. So I'm supposed to just believe that he's a totally different character. You know what I mean? It seemed like a lot to ask for an audience. So we kind of, wanted to, keep it closer to home and have it represent my life by having two girls, being from Atlanta, being on like a morning, or being in the entertainment business and things like that, just to make it feel a little more like comfortable shoes for viewers to kind of go on this new journey with us without trying to drag them into anything drastic right off. Seeing me like sell real estate, I don't know if anybody's interested in that. Like I thought they would.
And then in terms of even filming in Atlanta, was that something like at your kind of urging, or I mean, I know they have great tax incentives and credits there, but did you want to, like be sure to contribute in some way back to the home state in those regards?
I mean, yeah, if we can, right now we're, doing the California thing, but it would be awesome to. I've never worked in Atlanta, like all my years, I've never been hired.
Oh,
so that would
wait,
be
so you guys are all here in Los Angeles? I don't know why I thought you were shooting in Atlanta. You're all here. Well,
we're
hello to
because we're
wherever
that
you
good.
are in the city. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're here in LA at Universal, and we're all COVID protected, so we're shooting in our little sound stages and basically doing everything from the NBA bubble. But
Right. Well, and that was going to be my next question, because of course COVID is not something that's part of the show. Is that a very conscious choice? Like it just didn't feel like it fit what you guys were trying to do here?
It is. I mean, we wanted to just move past anything sad. We're trying to build a sitcom here, and we're trying to build a world where we can laugh and have, good family moments of joy and have a lot of, escape type, experiences for people. And we didn't want to, have any reminders of anything that's an obvious downer. So that's why we're kind of, moved away from, the actual occurrence of my wife's death and stuff like that. And we're later on in the time of, adjusting and the grieving period should be coming, near a close, and like, the discussions of moving on is, pretty prevalent or whatever. But also, just trying to figure out like, just what we're doing based on, like I'm rambling because I forgot what the question is. But my point is, it's a great show. And everybody and I'm gonna leave it there.
Well, something else I think is interesting. A lot of people over the last, 10 months or so, people have moved back home. They are living with in-laws. So I also do kind of love seeing that element here. Of course, though, it's they're very different circumstances.
As COVID, yes. So that's.
Oh, right. That was the question. Yeah. So, are you hoping to give tips here as well on how to be able to cope with living with in-laws? Because a lot of people, I think, could use those tips right now.
There's definitely lessons learned, I think.
Yeah, you want to invade everybody's space.
Yeah, just being
Number
up
one
under each other.
Yeah, obnoxious works really well.
Yeah, like the payoff of being annoyed, but also learning that you need that annoyance. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people can push you into uncomfortable situations that you wouldn't venture into, but then you wouldn't come out on the other side any more mature, any more cultured or anything like that. So, you realize on the other side of that, experience or whatever, when you were being annoyed along the way, quote unquote, that you do need those people, and that there is genuine love there, and, they're trying to help. And, the comedy comes from, us calling each other out on weird things we say. But at the end of the day, everybody kind of understands the ultimate goal, which is, family is the biggest thing in the world. And we're all grateful to be here, with each other on a daily basis, to be able to love on each other, because, time isn't guaranteed, and like all those little cliches.
That is very true. And it's a perfect segue right here for us, because we have actually run out of time on our conversation today. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have time for audience questions, but we certainly hope all of you watching enjoyed today's presentations. I want to give everyone a big virtual round of applause to our panelists. You can catch all of them on Kenan, which premieres Tuesday, February 16th at 8:30 p.m. on NBC. Thanks to all of you for joining me here today, and thanks to all of you at home for watching, and enjoy the rest of SCAD aTVFest. Bye.
Thank you very much. Once again.
Thanks,
Once again.